Well, Gareth, you got the point, but what did you make of the performance tonight?
Yeah, clearly not what we would have hoped. At the moment, we're not using the ball well enough, and we have to accept that if you do that, you're going to suffer at times as we have tonight. So we know there's another level that we've got to find.
In both games now, England have scored and then dropped deeper and not appeared to press as much. Is that what you're telling the team to do?
No. I think we've played teams that are quite fluid in back threes, and it's not easy to get pressure on them, but we've definitely got to do that better than we have done in these two matches. That's been part of the problem, but not keeping the ball has also been a big part of the problem.
Trent Alexander-Arnold started in midfield again, but he came off early in the second half. What does that tell us about how he's doing in that position in the middle?
Well, I wanted to get Connor on. We needed some energy. We needed to press better, and Connor obviously does that very well.
Do you feel Trent Alexander-Arnold is working?
Look, he's had some moments where he's delivered what we thought he would. We know it is an experiment, and we know that we don't have a natural replacement for a Calvin Phillips, but we're trying some different things, and at the moment we're not flowing as we'd like, that's for sure.
One touch in the opposition box for Harry Kane today. We saw him taken off, which isn't something we see often. Does it show that perhaps you're struggling to get this England attack to function as potentially they should, looking at the quality of player you've got?
Well, we needed energy. We've had two games in a short turnaround, and we needed fresh legs. We needed energy to press. And at that stage of the game, I think Harry's only had the 190 minutes in over a month. So that was the decision we took.
Given if you'd have won tonight, you would have qualified and been top already with a game to spare. How damaging is this, and how much work is there still to do if you are to win this?
No, of course, there's a huge amount of work. That's evident from the two performances that we've given, but we have to stay tight. We understand that people will be disappointed with the performances, and rightly so, and we've got to make them better.
Thanks, Gareth.
Thank you.
Yep, fair enough. He gets it. Didn't try and kid us in any way, shape or form.
No, again, you want an honest interview, and you give a good kind of insight into what's going on with England, and obviously disappointed. Listen, they all want to play well. We notice, like, we've been there playing these. You don't go out there not to work hard and to get good results and to perform well. Sometimes as well, you have to give respect to your opponents. Denmark were a hard outfit to play against today. So I told you I'd give you credit.
I think we've been fairly respectful towards Denmark's performance.
They played very well. As I said before, they forced us to look at
We're thrilled for you.
I know.
We're thrilled for you.
I think you've been in these positions before, Rio, where you've had great teams and not probably hit the levels that you should. What do they need to do now? What's going on in the changing room? How can you rectify this?
You have to have a meeting where you have to have some hard facts and good, solid, sometimes awkward and difficult conversations need to be had. Call each other out if need be. But also, I think, from listening to the interviews, I think tactically they need to really get around the table, out on the training pitch as well, and really dice that up and look at what's been going wrong. Because, like I say, it's not down to one individual. We've talked about Harry Kane a lot today, but it's not just about him. I think the team have to work out when and which to press, the triggers for that, and then they'll have a chance.
Yeah, I can't all the English lineup, but the last two, isn't that the first time those 11 have played together with Trent in the middle, Jude, and Foden? So there's something they try to see if it's working, and I'm sure that Gareth, he will look at that now.
I think he'll change it. I think he'll shift Bellingham alongside Rice, and then Foden as possibly as a 10.
And then you need to look into it to see what works. What I like is that they're calm and they're not running away from it. So Kane, Gareth, they know Walker. They are calm. And they know they have done it before. I think 12 games unbeaten. I think it'll be better.
I think you deserved the last word, Thomas. Thank you for your company, Mike. Rio.
Perfect centre back coming out of the ball. Looks far from it.
Moves into midfield.
Moves into midfield, has a freedom to go and do it. The team structure. But I don't think the team balance is allowing the players to perform at their best. Foden's not playing in his best position, isn't performing at his best. Jude Bellingham, maybe he'd be better off in an 8. All the good things we're going to see shortly that he done was from an 8 position. You know what I mean? So I don't know. The balance of the team is a concern.
A lot of us have been saying that for some time with this England team, and then you put Foden in his obvious position 10. He was one of the few players that was a constant threat.
Yeah, exactly that. I think we started on the left, and we was expecting him to sort of hold his width earlier on in the game. but he came right in the centre, went in that number 10 role, playing all the key passes that we expected to. I agree with Rio. I think we need to relook at that midfield. I think Bellingham needs to play alongside Rice and Foden in the 10, and then we can start opening up teams. But at the moment, it's looking a little bit bleak going forward.
Yeah. Let's get a view from one of the players. Kyle Walker is with Kelly Summers.
Kyle, it all started so well, but unlike Sunday, you didn't get the result. Can you explain that England performance?
I think it's tournament football. Listen, this is a good Denmark team, and you know we're top of the group. So let's try and take a positive from this game. And we're not lost. We've conceded, a great strike from outside the box. And sometimes you have to go goals. I thought the first goal, listen, we've done well and set off really well as we did the other day, but we managed not to see the game out. But we're top of the group, so let's move on to the next game.
You were getting forward as a team, and both yourself as well, so much early on. Why did that change?
I think it's just a game. It's a game. You're sensing the game, you're sensing their feeling. They probably had the upper hand in certain parts of the game, so you go for that. As defenders, you try and think of what if, rather than me charging forward, they go and score, and then all of a sudden they're blaming us as defence that we're not in position. So, listen, we've got enough up front to go and score goals, and we've got enough, as a team to go and defend. So, listen, let's take it as a point, a well-deserved point, and we'll move on to the next game.
Is the manager telling you to drop back deeper once you do score?
No. Listen, the manager's expressed that he wants us to play free attacking football. Sometimes in tournament football you have to manage the game. It is what it is. That's why it's so hard to win tournaments. Just as like the Champions League, it's not a walkthrough. You don't turn up and just take 3 points. It's tough when you come to these grounds, hostile environments. But we know we can do better. But we're top of the group, so let's move on to that.
As an experienced head, you're the vice-captain. What are you going to be saying to those players in the dressing room now?
Oh, they'll know. They'll know as individuals, as a team collectively, they'll know. We've got another gear, but we haven't lost the game. So, obviously, everyone wants us to come and steamroll teams 3-4-0. It's not football. It's not football these days. And we've got a point. We'll move on, as I keep saying. We're top of the group, and we just keep going like that.
Thanks for your time, Carl.
Thank you. Cheers.
Well, England extend their run of group stage games unbeaten to 12. They remain top, but their qualification to the last 16 is yet to be confirmed. All 4 teams can still qualify from Group C. Gareth Southgate's men will need a result against Slovenia next Tuesday even to make sure of their progression to a 4th consecutive knockout round, albeit no team has ever failed to get through as a 3rd place team with 4 points. So in reality, England are pretty much through. We're going to go back to the stadium to have a word with Alan Shearer, and I think it's fair to say, Alan, that was quite frustrating.
Yeah, it was very poor. It wasn't good enough. And listening to Kyle Walker's interview, we've all been there as players. And yes, you do try and take the positive. And yes, it is tournament football. But it's our job and the coach's job to dissect what's gone wrong. And there's plenty to look at there. I mean, where do you start? No energy, no guile. I wouldn't say lack of effort, not trying, but there's so much more to come from those players out there. And look at Jude tonight. I mean, he couldn't put one in front of the other. He couldn't get forward. I look at Phil Foden on the left. Is he affecting the game? No chance. And I look at Saka. And Harry Kane. I know he's got his goal, and I mentioned it in commentary about running in behind. At least when Watkins came on, the defenders were running in behind. So yeah, it was really, really poor, and it is concerning, absolutely.
Why do you think it is that this team, that pretty much all the players in it, spectacularly successful in the Premier League, they used to play in a high press, very much in the opposition's half, but when they've played for England in these 2 games, they're very much sat back. There's barely a press from the top right through. There's big gaps between the front and the back, or either that or they play in a really low block. Why do you think that is? Is that coming from the coach?
Well, let's use John Stones as an example. How many times do you see him get the ball and run into midfield, or get the ball with his back and turn in the Man City team? So many times. He's brilliant at it. How many times have you seen him do it in the last 2 England games? I can't remember any. How many times do you see Declan Rice getting that ball and bursting forward? How many times have you seen him do it in an England shirt in the last 2 games? None. How many times do you see Phil Foden get on the ball in the middle of the park, turn? Maybe once tonight when he had the shot and he hit the post. So Gareth at the minute is not getting the best out of England's best players.
What about up front, Alan? With Harry Kane, we know he's a spectacular finisher. He has been for a hell of a long time. Scored again in this game. His overall contribution, there was very little movement from him. He was pretty static. I don't know whether he was tired or one touch in the box, I think, in the game. What does he do about that? Because obviously when Watkins came on, you had a threat behind. It stretches them a little bit more. You could probably press. What's your position on it?
Well, I sort of mentioned it in commentary, Gary, about when I got into my 30s and I'd lost a yard or a half a yard of pace, I needed legs around me. I needed pace around me. I could still hold the ball up. I could still head it. I still had a good touch. I could still score goals. But the one thing I constantly couldn't do was running behind. So he needs players in and around him to do that. I would do that. That's why I would have Gordon in the team, because he has the energy. He has the ability to run him behind. He has the ability to get up near him. Whereas when Foden's doing that, Foden wants to be tight and play in the 10 role, very much like Harry Kane does. He's a brilliant goal scorer. He'll always score goals. But what he does lack is he lacks that yard and he lacks that energy. Someone else can do it. Someone else can do it alongside him.
Can I remind you, Alan, that when it happened to you, you retired from international football?
Well, that's one of the reasons why I retired from international football, Gary, because I couldn't do it both for England and for Newcastle with the energy and with my lack of pace. Harry's into his 30s now. He's never really been the quickest. He can still make really good runs, but he does need pace in and around him, and that's why I would have played Gordon.
Yeah. OK, Alan, thanks very much. Safe travels. Make some interesting points there, Mike. It brings us on to Harry Kane. Let's start with his goal, Rio. It was a classic striker's goal. He was there, the ball broke to him, and he doesn't miss chances very often.
And that's where the debate will always be, because there's so many things you can look at with Harry Kane and go, oh, he could be better at this, he could be better at that. But there ain't many in the game that are better at doing this, which is finding the space in the box, freeing himself up and being able to dispatch a goal like that. And that is the hardest thing in the game to do. So he's doing the hardest thing in the game. He does it with aplomb. But we're all looking at what he doesn't do and going, OK, does that mean we have to change the way England play? Do we have to change maybe Harry Kane or not? But I ask you, Tom, what do you think?
Of Kane in general.
Yeah. In terms of as a manager's perspective, do you take out them goals or do you don't?
No, I think I'm just sitting here and listening, and I think Kane is a fantastic player. I think we all do that. He's a fantastic goal scorer. So how does we get the team to work in the right way? And I'm sure Gareth, he know. After these two games, it was not perfect. It was far from perfect. He knows that. And he's searching, no doubt, what is the best lineup. And it's so easy for all of us, and myself including, to be clever up here and come with good suggestions when we don't have, the hand on the desk, okay, on the burning desk.
But it's sort of our job to do.
Yeah, I agree. But even us, we are not sure of what is the strongest lineup up there.
I am.
Yeah.
I am. I know.
But you can't be sure. You can't be sure. So I think Kane is very important for that England team. 100%. I think actually Gareth was brave today to take him off, and he changed 3 players during. So I think he was proactive to try to change the game.
I think he just needs to adapt. When we talk about players and how they want to play, he's used to playing in that number 10 role. Obviously, we showed the goal with Rio, and you just look at his movement. Always knows where to be. That side of the game is perfect. But I just want to show you a few clips of his overall game and where I believe England can improve. So this is Harry Kane here. This is what he's used to doing, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like Alan said, if you've got runners. But what that's doing, if you look at Denmark's back 3 there, they've got an easy day. You need to stretch them. This is too easy. He needs to trust the players around him, Foden and Bellingham and Saka, to be able to get in the ball in the half spaces and play the ball to him. Here again, we see him, and it can be a positive as well because he wants to do the defensive work for the team. He is doing a shift for the team. But now, England can't get out. If they want to go on the counter-attack and explode, it's too deep to do that. And it happened in the first game against Serbia. It happened today against Denmark. Again, in them areas, it gives the ball away. And, it costs the team a goal. So this is not us saying Harry Kane shouldn't be playing. He's just got to find a way to play well within this team and trust his teammates around him to do the jobs in them pockets of space.
Do you know? Go on.
But if you look at his touches, this is what I mean. We don't need him to do that stuff. He's got one touch in the box. And, of course, it was a key touch because he scores the goal. And you can always do that, but trust the players around you to get the ball to him.
I agree 100% with what Mike is saying there. But what I would say is that for all of the shouts and I'm one of them saying, got to stretch the team, get him in behind. He's actually one of the best target men about, by the way. If you can get the ball into his feet, we don't trust him enough or take risks. It's a risky ball to play from back to front, a pass into his feet. He can hold off one or two players, draw a foul, get us up the pitch again in a different way, but we don't even play the ball into him. That's my frustration too.
So what do you think on this guy? You've played in these positions. You was great at spinning the channels. What's your thoughts on this?
In all honesty, I think Harry Kane needs to do a lot better. I think his movement was minimal. He didn't look to go behind, and he doesn't often. But even when he comes short, he's just drifting short very kind of lethargically. He's plodding short, and that's not going to help. So when you're a striker, your two jobs are obviously score goals, which he's brilliant at. He has been all his career, and he's wonderful at that sort of thing. But I think he needs his manager to say, right, I need a little bit more from you, Harry. I would have expected that if I'd have had that kind of performance. Because as a striker, let me tell you, he's up against three at the back. So he has got to stretch that team. Even when he comes short, you've got to go that way first to keep them up there, and then you come short. So when you get the ball coming short, you don't have to go 20 yards to get it short, like he ambles in, and they just let him go, so you don't get it. So he's not creating the space for himself for a start, and vice versa. And he's never really been a player that spins that much behind. But it's the same thing. If someone's in midfield, and got the ball, and you want it behind, you go that way first, and then you go behind. And then you stretch the team. If you've got someone going behind, you can stretch the team, and that creates more space for the midfield players behind you. But in his defence, even when that happened on occasions, there wasn't enough of the midfield pushing up from behind. So it's a whole team thing. But he has to.
I totally agree. But there is no variation in the way he's playing. So to give the defender something to think about, if he's always coming short and just kind of being laboured in that respect, me as a defender, I'm not having any worries about him going that way. So I can just condense the pitch the whole time.
But isn't that what he's done the last 4 or 5 years?
Yes.
Then he just has runners.
I think the key is the runners.
Yeah. So we need runners around. I think he's doing what he's done and done very well.
Yeah. That's why you need Roland in the team.
Exactly. Maybe, yeah. Or other runners going, or Jude is going behind. And he got one touch in the box. Of course, that's good. It's ended in the back of the net. Yeah. But he didn't get enough service, maybe, or they maybe didn't put enough crosses in. I think that's another thing.
I think he gets frustrated. Yeah. And I think sometimes when he does that, he ambles back. And he wants to play his part defensive in the team. But if you're playing fairly deep anyway, and your striker comes deep, as we saw on some of those clips that Micah showed, it exacerbates the issue. Because you're too far, then you've got no target to hit at all. But he's got to stay high under the way England are playing, and then it gives them a chance to get out and get people around him.
But he did come short once, and Saka stayed high, and he actually played Saka, and Saka was 1v1. Yeah. He done it in the Euros final when we scored the goal with Luke Shaw. He comes deep, but if you have to have players that are high or running beyond, otherwise it becomes just clogged up in the middle areas, and there's zero effect.
Yeah. Okay, let's hear from Harry Kane. Here he is with Kelly.
Well, Harry, a goal for you, the first of the Euros, but a frustrating night for England overall. Do you share those frustrations?
Yeah, I think so. I think, look, we said before the tournament, it's no easy game in major, and I think that's showing. For sure, we've got levels that we can breach, and we can be better in both with the ball and without the ball. There's no question. But I think the sign of a good team is when you're not playing at your best and you still find a way to get results like we have done in the last 2 games. So we're top of the group. We're all but qualified, which is what I said in the press conference before. That's the #1 objective, and yeah, we know we can improve. So yeah, I know there'll probably be loads of noise and a bit of disappointment back home but we experienced this in the last Euros as well when we drew to Scotland. So it's just a time to stay calm, a time to reflect and try and improve for sure. But step by step, we'll get there.
You say no easy games, but are England making it a bit harder than it needs to be at the moment?
I think we're struggling, like I said, both with and without the ball. We'll have to go away and look at it back, but I think the pressure in both games just hasn't been quite right, and also with the ball, we haven't been good enough. That's the bottom line from top to bottom, from me all the way to Pix. Everyone's just dropping below their level a little bit in terms of retaining the ball, playing under pressure. I mean, it was tough out there with the heat, with the pitch. It wasn't easy, but look, we're calm. It wasn't our greatest game, but we got away with a draw, which is a good sign, and now we can hopefully build.
Is it on you or the manager that you are dropping deeper when you do score?
No, I think it's something that we've got to try and get better at. I don't think it's just when we score. I think we are starting games well, but then I just think in general, maybe when the teams are dropping a few players deeper, we're not quite sure how to get the pressure on and who's the one supposed to be going. So in the second half, we tried to change it a little bit with me and Jude playing in front of their two midfielders and then trying to get up, but it was difficult. It was a difficult game. Credit to Denmark, they're a really good side. They obviously got to the semi-final in the last Euros, so they caused us some threats. But overall, we just got to look back and see where we can improve.
Thanks, Harry.
Cheers, thank you.
Well, remarkably honest, and obviously asked whether it was a tactical thing. I mean, he pretty much said it was, really, without saying it, obviously.
Yeah, and this, I love when players are honest, when they come here and don't just fumble you through an interview and just try and back you off. That was really refreshing to see from Harry Kane as a captain, but it concerns me that they're trying to get to grips with certain tactics and it's not coming out in the game.
We didn't know how to do it.
We didn't know how to do it. Yeah. I mean, that would be a worry for me, and I just think, please just get them out on a training ground again and start doing some repetition and some drills. But
they just need to work together as a unit, don't they?
And that was the difference between the two teams today.
Defence and attack, the gap's too big.
That's
the midfield,
that's basics,
you've got
Michael.
Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's a wonderful player, playing in midfield, finding it very difficult. And it's just like part of the team are doing one thing and part of the team are doing the other. They just need to work together as a collective.
As a manager, Thomas, what would you do now? If you were looking at that England team, what would you do in terms of trying to get them to be a team that plays as a unit?
Take them out for a beer.
That's not a bad idea, by the way. I think there's a couple of things that in general they have done good over time. He just said that it was the 12 games unbeaten in the group stages. Yeah. That's fantastic. Okay, so and in the last 3 tournaments we talked about, they've been growing into the tournament. Walker said they're calm. Kane saying they're calm. We know we need to progress, but they're also saying it was not their top moment. So there's no doubt there's things they were looking at. There's things Gareth will look at and see if they can maybe get a little bit higher, if that's what he wants.
Yeah. Okay.
Because.
Well, I suspect it is because he put Watkins on.
Yes.
And he brought off Harry Kane, which is a bold decision. And when he did, Watkins came on, and all of a sudden, like I was talking about before, he was looking to get behind. And that stretches the team.
But look at his running there, and look what it does to the Denmark defence. They automatically drop off, and that's what we was talking about. And this is what he can inject into this team. He can run in behind, times his run brilliantly, and then it's a good save, but a goalkeeper. But you mentioned as well, Gary, what can he do off the ball? Can he press? And that's exactly what he can do, which then gets the team higher up the pitch and just makes them a little bit more dynamic. Harry Kane's got a big role to play for England, but in terms of the way England want to play and they want to be aggressive, Watkins as well has a big role to play too.
Can you play high, press high as a unit with Harry now? Or not?
I said before,
can you get him to buy into it? If you push up from the back and give them that support from behind.
I think you can. I think you can do the first press. 100%. The team's got to push really high. They do the first press together, like at Manchester City, different players, of course, but they win the ball within 2 or 3 seconds. As it is now, if England drop off, I don't think you can press like that.
I don't think it's down to just Harry Kane, though. This isn't just a Harry Kane problem.
No, it's not. That's a tactical issue.
Yeah, Harry Kane can go. But my big issue today was that the midfielders didn't follow him behind. The only time they followed him behind, we nicked the ball and get a shot on the edge of their box. So the team as a unit have to press together. The problem is you looked at one team today, looked like they were a well-drilled outfit who knew all their roles, man for man. Where against an England team who looked like they were looking on their shoulder for advice and guidance as when to go. That can't be the case at this level.
Denmark were a lesson, weren't they, in how to gauge when to press, when to sit,
Yeah.
And the structure, the balance, they all seem to know their jobs, and they were compact. And that's really important in international football, any football.
Yeah, definitely. I think they played a good game overall, as you talked about. But defensively, they knew when they wanted to press on a goal kick very, very high, who was jumping to press the keeper or the centre-back. They knew in that middle press, okay, can they still go again? And then the lower block, they were nice and compact.
Yeah.
Plus, in the counter-press, they're very aggressive.
Yeah, very aggressive.
Very aggressive.
They might not have the talent of England, but they had the wherewithal and the cohesiveness, didn't they?
Yeah, no doubt about that. I also think sometimes you face a team or a coach where it's not working the same way.
And Thomas, what a goal.
Fantastic goal. Fantastic goal. I must say that it's a screamer in any way. And he's getting it here. Well connected with the ball.
Yeah. Thomas,
fantastic finish.
How do you say screamer in Danish? Have you got a word?
No, I don't have. No.
Stumped him. You stumped him, Gary.
You stopped me. Yeah, but we have said it. Fantastic goal.
Scorcher? Got one for that? Thumper?
Yeah, I need to make a comeback on that one.
You've been too long in England.
Yeah, exactly. So no.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
I thought Christian Eriksen was excellent.
Yeah.
Let's hear from him.
Christian, well played out there, a point, but did you feel like you deserved a bit more tonight?
Yeah, I do think that we felt like if there was a team to win today, it was supposed to be us, but obviously we didn't get the win. But for us, it was a better game than the last one.
You talk about the last game. If you looked at England's last game, which I'm sure you did, was that the game plan and the way they approached the game that you expected tonight?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I don't think England surprised us in any way of how they wanted to play. Of course, we know they have exceptional players, but I think today we hurt them on the chances we had and on the possibilities we had in the game. I just think we should have won instead of getting a draw.
Yeah, how much belief did you still have, despite going a goal behind from someone you know very well?
Yeah, no, he's always around in the box and he gets all the ugly goals as opponents, but he's there. And obviously, to come back was a perfect strike from Morten, and it kept us in the game and gave us afterwards a bit of belief. And yeah, I think it was just unfortunate we didn't take the belief to two more goals.
Yeah, did you expect once England scored? Did you know that they were going to drop deeper and give you opportunities?
No, I don't think they dropped deep. I think it was the game as before. I think even before the goal, it was very even. I think they lost a few times the ball in possession, and we tried to hurt them on the counter and in possession, and they did the same against us. So I think the game was even when they scored and we scored.
You mentioned ugly goals. That wasn't an ugly goal that your team scored.
No, that was a beautiful goal. I think Harry, of course, is always in the box, and I think Hjulmand had a lovely strike, and it was perfect timing.
And how are you feeling now about qualification?
No, we still have a game to go. We need a win against Serbia. There's nothing else for us. So yeah, it was a good game for us. It was good progress from the last game. But obviously we have to take the belief into next game, and we need 3 points.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Can I just ask you, Thomas, about Eriksen? Obviously,
of course you can.
Yeah, in the last Euros, he had the heart attack.
Yeah.
To see him come back and be such professional and so good within a game, still having an impact. How good is this player being?
I think it's been fantastic. I think I've been privileged to see it firsthand because he came back to play for Brentford. That was special. That was very special to see him as the first team session. He was actually terrible in that team session. Normally he has a top touch, but he was bouncing all over it. But then he just grew into it and come back to one of the top clubs in the world. Man United had a very good first season, I think, there. And now he got a little bit criticized of the Danish press because he hasn't played that much the last half season or the whole season, and the way he came into this tournament has been fantastic. I'm very pleased to see.
They were critical of him. The fact he's actually playing football in itself is
remarkable. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, it changed quick.
These pundits are awful. You know.
Only some, not these here. Everyone else.
That's all we like to hear. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Jude Bellingham didn't have his best night. I think it's safe to say. He started as a 10 for most of the game, but I mean, we've said perhaps he might be more effective as an 8, as a midfield player.
Exactly that. Put him alongside Rice, and you see what you get. We're talking about, can he make runs from out to in? This is where I think he's at his most effective. Okay, they didn't get him on that one. When he's scored a lot of his goals for Madrid this season, has been that late run into the box. We talk about tackling. There was many moments when I was watching Real Madrid this season and they was under pressure. He can play in that number 6 perfectly well. He likes to get stuck in. He's got an all-round game, as we utilised in the first game against Serbia. I would put him a little bit deeper, put Foden in that number 10, and then I think the balance of the midfield is a lot better, Rio.
Yeah, I totally agree. Declan in the 6th, Jude running like this from deep, and Foden just loose in the 10 position. I think you'll get the best out of these guys. I think at the moment it says they don't know when to push, to squeeze together. They don't know who's meant to go in, the distances between each other. And once you've got question marks tactically, or you're having to think before you make a move, when you look over, that split second, the whole picture in front of you will change again. Yeah. And playing at this level, when pictures change, when you turn your head, then all of a sudden, where is everyone? You're confused. And that's how England are playing at the moment.
But it can change quite quickly, you know, in international, particularly in tournaments and international football. You suddenly find something, you make a little tactical adjustment, a little shift in the team, and all of a sudden you get a little bit of a spark.
I think you sense that from the way the two guys spoke in their interview as well. They're calm.
They get it.
We're panicking up here because we're fans. We're emotional, but
we're not panicking. England are pretty much almost 99.9% certain of going through to the knockouts.
But we're panicking about performance, and we know we can do better. But when you listen to those guys and the experience that they have, they know that, like you say, it can change, and they know that, listen, at the end of the day, there's more games and bigger games to play.
Yeah, I want to talk about Mark Gay because like the first game, I thought he was outstanding. I thought he was absolutely the pick of England's players this evening.
Best player on the pitch again. I think we thought in the first game, would he have nerves? In the Serbia game, he dealt with that well. Again, he was brilliant again. Again, the word we use is calm, reading the play. Rio knows him really well, has been texting him, and he's just so humble in the way he does everything. And in one of these clips, there's one where he gave it away, and you're sort of thinking, how can he react? There on the front foot, aggressive. Everything about his game was brilliant, and long may it continue, because we was talking about Harry Maguire before, a big miss, and I think this is what we was talking about.
No, this one.
There, he's just so strong and aggressive, and he's just had a brilliant tournament. It really has. And I think this is a mistake.
This was the one.
How do you recover?
Yeah.
How do you recover? Don't panic. Wait for the right timing. Brilliant. And what a wonderful
as a defender
challenge
as well, Rio. I mean, you can appreciate that as a central defender.
Yeah, and I know exactly how to a team and to perform like that at this level. And it's I remember my first tournament, and you think to yourself how nervous you are, the anxiety that can build up. But he doesn't look like he's a man at all fussed with the occasion. He's taking it and playing it like he's playing in the cage back where he's from.
5-3-2 in the first game to more 5-4-1. So Eriksen is more to the left and Vind is dropping down. So I think that's set up well. And then also when they're dominating on the ball, they have good positions. So pleased with the first half.
All these England players, with the exception of Kane, are used to playing high press, attacking, getting in the opposition's half. When they play with England, all of a sudden it's a completely different setup, and it's baffling, isn't it?
It is baffling, and it's concerning, I would say. I think we've got a couple of examples here that I'd like to show. When you're passive, it doesn't matter who you are, what level of player you are, teams will play out and play around you. You have to be aggressive in the way that you press and you try and go up against teams. This is international football. So when you're going to go and press, you have to go with a little bit more intensity, a little bit more direction. And this clip here, you see it here, we're high up the pitch. This is a good position for us to be in. If you press in the right way, the right angles, the right intensity, we're miles off it. Easy one pass takes out 3 players, and then you're beyond it. And there's complete control, and there's no nervousness. There's no agitation from the England players at all to try and disturb this Denmark team when they're out building. Here again, you see it again. Me and us in here, we're going crazy with seeing this.
I don't know if they're being told to do this, or because, like you said, Gary,
we can week out to press higher.
The press, but they're getting into a shape where they're trying to stop Denmark to play out, but they're lethargic. They need a little bit more energy. They need to be aggressive, and it's just too easy. And this is what they need.
You get aggressive. Jude Bellingham, the catalyst, goes up high. Declan Rice flies in behind it, but there's players up there, enough players to really, really influence this play. And you get your just rewards from it. You get a shot off at the end of it. Doesn't amount to anything, but you're actually causing problems and ruffling the feathers of your opponent. Until that, they ain't done that at all.
Can I offer a slight theory? I think if you want to play a high press, it has to come generally from your centre forward first.
Of course.
Harry does not press, and he's not pressed in that first half. He's hardly moved. And then the team goes deeper, and Harry Kane gets even deeper, and then even when you get the ball, you've got nothing to hit.
There's a little bit of a
just don't
conundrum.
understand.
There's a conundrum with the way England want to set up. They want to press, and they got the players to press. But Harry Kane is so good at scoring goals, and his record is unbelievable. And when his goal comes, you're thinking, OK, Harry Kane, confident. But the other side of the game, we just need to improve. But you're talking about goals. He's one of the best.
I'd be going mad. I'd be screaming. I couldn't have my centre forward not filling in with the workload that the other players are putting in. I need to see that intensity at some point. Put their centre halves under pressure that I'm receiving as an England defender.
But the reason he's in there is that he does score a lot of goals, and he's in the right place again, and he's one of the best finishers that football has ever seen.
Yes, and we've seen Walker. I think Saka's been brilliant again. Bellingham a bit of movement, and Christensen just switches off. He thinks he's done a job with Saka. Walker comes in, and then this is what he's great at. In the box, he comes alive. This is what he does, and that's why we rave about him so much. Brilliant from Walker there, just anticipating the move, and then gets a little bit fortunate with the cutback.
Being lucky, Michael, can't you? You could say, it's lucky, but he
knows where to be.
He's always there, and it always falls to him. So it can't. It's just he has an understanding of where that ball's going to be. It's a magnet.
He's a brilliant finisher,
and he's brilliant at that. And that's the thing. That's the problem for a manager and Southgate. Portugal probably have it with Cristiano Ronaldo as well.
Now,
There's certain things that you want. You can't have it all. No. But what he does is the hardest thing in the game, which is to put the ball in the back of the net.
Absolutely. Denmark equalised. Over to you for this one, Thomas.
Thank you very much, Gary.
What a goal. 13th goal from outside the box.
Yeah, exactly. And I've said don't finish outside the box, but yes, if you do it like Morten Hjulmand here, then it's fantastic. What a strike. He hit it so clean. So fantastic goal in so many ways.
But again, Harry Kane, and we're not picking on Harry Kane, but the fact that he's so deep, OK, he wants to get involved, but it's when you...
He understands there are 10 players behind the ball. It's a fantastic strike.
It's
one in a million.
It's an unbelievable strike.
It's 1 in a million.
1 in a million. 1 in a million.
Thomas was celebrating like he'd never known him. No class.
Quite right as well. We've seen glimpses of Phil Foden. And generally, when he's come inside, he's looked sharp and he's looked a threat. And he had one decent effort.
Yeah, he's been better. And this is what we was talking about before the game, on the ball. When he gets into these little pockets here, little chop. And then as he goes to kick it, he just bounces up for him. But this is what we need more of. I feel like he's been a bit more dominant, asking for the ball a lot more. And if we can get him into these areas here, then we can score goals in that second.
Outside of the goal has been him in these central areas. If you don't realise now, Mr. Southgate, that this is where he should be playing, it will never happen. But he gives us a sense of rhythm, a bit of control. He gives us that little bit of belief and that confidence in middle areas where it gets tight.
But you can see all three situations in the middle of the pitch. So it's clearly he got that free roll. Yeah. He can drift and he can be on the ball where he wants. When he finds the right areas, he can create great opportunities.
Denmark's press has been far superior, and I think there's one moment that you've picked out that sums it up for you.
Yeah, I just think that this is. I think it's a fantastic situation to press from. Everything is set from a goal kick, and if you're aggressive there, it's difficult to get out of. And one ball up, England's not getting on top of it. Denmark is landing on it. Boom, then you're up there in control. You can pass it. You can move it. Find the position. They want to have the 3-2 build up, 2 wing backs, 3 on the last line. So then they find the control there.
Yeah, I mean it's very unusual in the modern era to see a pitch that cuts up. I mean like a bowling green compared to the pitch I played on, but I mean it is cutting up quite considerably.
No, and Carl Walker's had to change his boots after 10 minutes, like because the pitches, everyone's slipping and sliding. You think that some of them have got roller skates on, but it does happen sometimes. You've just got to deal with it. Both teams have got the same problem.
It can unsettle you, though, because when you're used to playing in moulded studs and then you go into the proper studs, but it's just, when the pitch is like that, it's no good for the players because you're worried about the injuries, but they've got to get on with it in that second half.
Can we get the groundsman's name and just highlight it?
It's from Man United.
Why's he going there? How's he doing that?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I think we've got a graphic of the average positions of the England players before the goal and post the goal. That's before. Obviously, even that's still quite deep, but then it drops off even more.
That is exactly what we were talking about before the game. We highlighted that before. This isn't something that's just bare on its head now.
No.
This has happened in the last tournament. It's in many games you can go to where we score and we set back, especially against teams that are considered like top teams around. No disrespect to Denmark, but we're doing it against Serbia and Denmark. That's the baffling thing.
Inviting pressure.
Yeah.
Constantly inviting pressure. And I know England's defensive record has been good of the past, but we've got a different variety of players now who can keep the ball. Yeah. That's the difference.
Play to your strengths, not your weaknesses. Drama, tension and high stakes. But enough about the football. Here's what's on iPlayer.